Have you ever wondered about the secrets that the ocean depths might hide? For instance, the city of Port Royal in Jamaica? Let me take you on a journey back in time to the 17th century. Picture a bustling port city sitting pretty on the edge of a long sand spit in the harbor of Kingston, Jamaica. This was Port Royal, once the jewel of the Caribbean, a city of great wealth, extravagance, and infamy. Port Royal was no ordinary city. In its heyday, it was a haven for the misfits and renegades of the world. Pirates, privateers, and buccaneers found refuge within its walls, and it was often referred to as the Sodom of the New World. Its streets were lined with taverns and brothels, where the sounds of raucous laughter and clinking coins echoed day and night. However, Port Royal was not just a den of iniquity, it was also a city of immense wealth. As one of the busiest and wealthiest ports in the West Indies, it was a hub for trade and commerce. Ships laden with goods from all corners of the globe docked at its harbors, and its markets were a riot of colors, sounds, and smells. Luxury goods, such as silks, spices, and precious metals, were traded freely. The city's coffers swelled, and its citizens lived lives of opulence and hedonism. Port Royal was indeed the wealthiest and wickedest city in the world. But all was not as it seemed. Beneath the glitz and glamour, a shadow of doom loomed. The city was built on unstable ground, a fact that would have dire consequences in the years to come. So, how did this prosperous city end up at the bottom of the Caribbean Sea? To find the answer, we must delve deeper into the city's past and uncover the events that led to its downfall. Join us as we unravel the mystery of Port Royal, the city that disappeared beneath the waves. To understand the fall of Port Royal, we must first understand its rise. The establishment of Port Royal dates back to the year 1655. The English, in their thirst for new territories, set up this bustling port on the sun-baked shores of Jamaica. The city's location was strategic, offering a prime spot for trade and naval operations. It wasn't long before Port Royal bloomed into a hub of wealth and opportunity, quickly gaining a reputation as the richest and wickedest city in the world. Now you might be wondering, what made Port Royal so important in the Caribbean? Its strategic location, combined with a deep harbor, made it a magnet for ships. As a result, it became a bustling center for trade. The city was a melting pot of different cultures, with goods from all corners of the world passing through its docks. From spices to silk, and precious metals to exotic fruits, Port Royal had it all. But it wasn't just the trade that made Port Royal famous. It was also a haven for pirates and privateers. These seafaring outlaws found a welcoming home in Port Royal, where they could enjoy their spoils without fear of the law. This led to an era of lawlessness and debauchery that further fueled the city's reputation. Taverns and brothels lined the streets, and the air was thick with the scent of rum and the sound of raucous laughter. The city was a place of contrasts, a city of immense wealth yet also of immense vice. It was a place where fortunes could be made in a day and lost in a night. The rich lived side by side with the poor, and the law-abiding with the lawless. It was a city that lived fast and died young. This was the golden age of Port Royal, a time of prosperity and excess, of adventure and danger. But as the saying goes, pride comes before a fall. The fall of Port Royal was as dramatic and sudden as its rise. On a fateful day in June 1692, the earth beneath the bustling city of Port Royal began to quake, a harbinger of the calamity to come. This was no ordinary tremor, but a catastrophic earthquake estimated to be around 7 on the Richter scale. The ground convulsed, buildings crumbled, and before the terrified inhabitants could comprehend the scale of the disaster, a portion of the city sank into the ocean. But nature's fury was not yet spent. As if the earthquake was not devastating enough, a tsunami soon followed. The sea, which had been a source of wealth and prosperity for Port Royal, now became its doom. The waves swept over the remaining part of the city, submerging it underwater and washing away any hope of immediate rescue for the survivors. The loss of life and property was immense. It is estimated that approximately 2,000 people perished in the earthquake and the ensuing tsunami, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in the history of the Caribbean. Many of those who survived the initial catastrophe found themselves stranded on rooftops, amidst the ruins of a city that had been a beacon of prosperity just moments before. The city of Port Royal, once known as the richest and wickedest city in the world, had become a watery grave. The pirate haven, the bustling port, the jewel of the Caribbean, was reduced to rubble and ruins in a matter of minutes. The sea had claimed what was once its own, leaving behind a poignant reminder of the transient nature of wealth and power. the fall of Port Royal was a poignant reminder of the unpredictability of nature and the fragility of human endeavors. It marked the end of an era, the end of a city that had been a symbol of extravagance and debauchery, of wealth and power, of human ambition and hubris. In a matter of minutes, the wickedest city on earth was no more. The survivors of the earthquake were left with a city in ruins. In the wake of the catastrophic earthquake, Port Royal was a scene of utter devastation. Homes, buildings, and lives were swept away, leaving behind a shell of the once bustling city. With the heart of the city now beneath the sea, the survivors faced an enormous task: the reconstruction of Port Royal. The initial attempts to rebuild were met with challenges. The destruction was so extensive that it was like starting from scratch. The very foundations of the city had to be laid again. Despite this daunting task, the survivors, bolstered by help from across Jamaica and beyond, set to work. They cleared debris, salvaged what they could, and slowly, painstakingly, began to put their city back together. However, the path to reconstruction was not a smooth one. Natural disasters continued to batter the city. Hurricanes, floods, and further earthquakes tested the resilience of the city and its people. But each time, Port Royal rose again from the ashes. Economic decline added another layer of adversity. The city's position as a major trading hub was lost to the sea along with much of its original land. As commerce moved elsewhere, Port Royal's economy faltered. Yet the people of Port Royal remained steadfast. They adapted, they persevered, they continued to rebuild. Despite these challenges, there were successes. Parts of the city were restored, new buildings were erected, and life began to pulse once again through the streets of Port Royal. Each restored building, each new home was a testament to the indomitable spirit of its people. Reconstruction is a process, often a slow and difficult one. For Port Royal, it's a process that has spanned centuries and is still ongoing. Today, the city stands as a testament to the resilience of its people, a symbol of their unyielding faith in the face of adversity. Yet the spirit of Port Royal was far from broken. Today, parts of the city of Port Royal lies beneath the waves, a time capsule of the 17th century. As we delve down into the ocean's depths, we find the remnants of what was once the richest and wickedest city in the world. The underwater archaeological site of Port Royal is a treasure trove of historical artifacts. It's as if the city was frozen in time, preserved by the very waters that consumed it. Imagine walking the streets of a city submerged, where buildings, artifacts, and even the cobblestone streets are remarkably well preserved. It's like stepping back in time into a world of pirates, privateers, and the bustling commerce of the Caribbean. Ongoing efforts to study and preserve this underwater city are crucial to our understanding of life in Port Royal during its heyday. Archaeologists and divers brave the murky depths to uncover the city's secrets piece by piece. Each artifact, from the ornate cutlery and pewter plates to the cannons still lying on the seabed, tells a story of the people who once lived there. What's fascinating about these findings is how they paint a picture of everyday life in Port Royal. Personal items such as combs, pipes, and even children's toys give us a glimpse into the private lives of the city's inhabitants. The remnants of warehouses filled with goods from all over the world speak to the city's prosperity and its role as a hub of trade in the Caribbean. But perhaps the most sobering discoveries are the human remains, forever frozen in their final moments. These skeletal remnants serve as a poignant reminder of the thousands who lost their lives in the cataclysmic earthquake. The lost city of Port Royal is a fascinating study in contrasts. It represents the wealth and opulence of a city at the height of its power. Yet, it also stands as a testament to the destructive power of nature and the transience of human achievement. The city of Port Royal continues to captivate us, a reminder of the power of nature and the impermanence of human endeavors. Though much of it lies underwater, Port Royal's legacy is far from forgotten. This sunken city, once a bustling port and the envy of the New World, continues to hold a prominent place in history, culture, and popular imagination. Today, Port Royal is a testament to human resilience and recovery. The remnants of the once great city that peak above the waterline serve as a stark reminder of the power of nature, but also of the indomitable spirit of those who live there. The remnants of the city, the artifacts recovered from the sea floor, tell a vivid story of life in the 17th century. Port Royal's influence extends far beyond the borders of Jamaica. It has etched itself into the cultural fabric of the world, featuring prominently in literature, films, and video games. It's the quintessential pirate haven, a place of adventure and intrigue, of treasure and danger. It's the setting of swashbuckling tales, the home of legendary pirates like Henry Morgan. Its allure is so potent that it continues to inspire storytellers and spark the imaginations of millions around the globe. Yet, Port Royal is more than just a backdrop for pirate tales. It's a living piece of history, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that offers invaluable insights into the past. Archaeologists and historians have spent decades studying the city, unearthing its secrets and ensuring its legacy is preserved for future generations. Every artifact, every structure, every scrap of parchment recovered from the seafloor adds another piece to the puzzle, helping us better understand our shared history. In many ways, Port Royal is a symbol of the human experience. It's a story of ambition and downfall, of resilience and recovery. It's a testament to our ability to adapt and rebuild, to learn from our past and forge ahead into the future. The city may lie beneath the waves, but its legacy continues to ripple outwards, touching lives and shaping narratives around the world. From a bustling port to a lost city, the story of Port Royal is a tale of rise and fall, resilience and recovery. But what about the earthquake, the force of nature that caused all this? On the fateful day of June 7, 1692, a massive earthquake struck Jamaica's Port Royal, a city once known as the richest and wickedest city in the world. It was a catastrophic event that forever altered the Caribbean's landscape and global perceptions of natural disasters. The earthquake, estimated to have been a magnitude of around 7.5 on the Richter scale, was a result of the movement of the Caribbean and North American tectonic plates along the Enriquillo Plantain Garden Fault Zone. This earthquake was so powerful that it caused the sandy ground of Port Royal to liquefy, swallowing up much of the city and its wealth within minutes. But the impact of this disaster was not confined to Port Royal alone. The earthquake and the subsequent tsunami generated by it caused widespread devastation across the Caribbean. It destroyed entire towns, took countless lives, and left an indelible mark on the region's history. Globally, the Port Royal earthquake played a significant role in changing how society perceives and understands natural disasters. Prior to this event, earthquakes were often seen as divine punishment or a sign of impending doom. But the Port Royal earthquake prompted a shift in this perspective. It spurred scientific inquiry into the causes and effects of earthquakes, accelerating the development of seismology as a field of study. This catastrophic event also left a lasting impact on cultural and social dynamics. The destruction of Port Royal, once a hub of piracy and lawlessness, was seen by many as a divine retribution, a moral lesson against greed and vice. This narrative was widely propagated, influencing the cultural and religious discourse of the time. In the grand scheme of things, the Port Royal earthquake was more than just a natural disaster. It was a catalyst for change, a reminder of nature's power, and a turning point in our understanding of the world around us. The earthquake that sunk Port Royal was not just a disaster, it was a turning point in history. So, what can we learn from the tale of Port Royal? This vibrant city, once the jewel of the Caribbean, was a beacon of wealth and power during its golden age. It was a city that thrived, not just on the riches of the New World, but on the resilience and determination of its people. And yet, even as Port Royal flourished, it was not immune to the forces of nature. The devastating earthquake of 1692, a force so powerful it sent much of the city beneath the waves, was a stark reminder of the transient nature of human achievement. But the tale of Port Royal is not just one of loss. It is also a story of recovery and resilience. Despite the odds, the people of Port Royal rebuilt their city, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. The story of Port Royal is a reminder of the fleeting nature of wealth and power, and the enduring power of the human spirit to rebuild and recover.